The tax deadline is rapidly approaching, so do you file on your own or hire a professional? According to the local Better Business Bureau, both paths come with risks if you're not careful. Here with what you need to know before you file is BBB's Cameron Nakashima. Thank you so much for joining us, Cameron.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
All right, so tell us, what are people getting wrong when they try to file their taxes themselves?
Absolutely. And so, BBB, we're looking at our search data, and we're seeing, just like you said, thousands of people right now are looking for trusted tax preparer professionals or maybe services that they can use to do it themselves. And with both of those, there are some risks or challenges or missteps that people are seeing. And so, for those watching at home, if you have not filed yet, if you're in the middle of filing, really listen up, because when people are rushing, that's when the mistakes happen most. And it's not just us seeing this. We're also looking at the IRS's data, and they're showing this too. The IRS, the top filing errors really can kind of get boiled down to three broad categories, and those would be incomplete information. So that would be you missed a form, maybe you didn't report some side income, any of those sorts of things. There could be clerical errors, right? And so I've been guilty of this. Maybe you do a typo, right? You fat finger an extra digit, but it could also be choosing the wrong filing status or making a mathematical error. And the last category there would be just rushing the process, right? And when you're rushing, you're just going fast, you could be kind of skimming things. You overlook valuable deductions. Maybe you forget to sign a certain part of the form, or you don't file for an extension on time because there's just so much going on. Any of these errors can end up costing you big time. Either maybe you miss out on a deduction you could have qualified for, or you could get penalized. So really what we're trying to boil down to here is it's the last minute, it's the last home stretch. If you haven't filed yet, it could be a good idea to get a second set of eyes on there and bring in a professional to make sure things get done right.
So a lot of people turn to these professionals to avoid those issues, but what is BBB seeing when people hire the wrong tax preparer?
Absolutely. So you could have similar issues as what I just laid out when you file yourself if you hire the wrong company. But of course, on top of that, there are other issues that we see rise to the top in the BBB complaint data. And so one of the things that we see would be the errors that we mentioned, but also that lack of accountability. So a lot of consumers will report incorrect filings. Maybe there's inflated funds, things that they didn't necessarily sign up for. The person could be, in the worst case, a con. We call these ghost preparers. These are the people who kind of the fly-by-night. They come into town just during tax season. They file things incorrectly. They kind of inflate numbers so that they can get a bigger cut. They'll do usually like a percentage of your return they'll get back into their pockets. So they'll make that as big as possible, and then they won't sign anything, and then they'll disappear. So that's the worst case scenario. And most people aren't going to have to deal with that, but it is definitely a risk out there. More common would be people are seeing pricing issues where they didn't realize that there were certain fees or certain amounts of money that were going to be pulled out of their deduction to pay for the legitimate services rendered. But then the third thing that we hear a lot about is just poor communication. So, maybe you file your return and then something goes wrong, or you just have questions and you try to connect with that tax professional and they're just not responsive. They're not a great communicator. And that can put you in hot water, but it's also just not a comfortable place to be. So those are some of the big things to watch out for when you're hiring a professional to help.
So for viewers following their taxes in the next 2 weeks, how can they protect themselves and make sure they hire someone that they can trust?
So the first thing is to verify who you're working with. And so the biggest thing is the legal validation. So any preparer, anybody who's handling your taxes, they're going to need a PTIN. That's a preparer tax identification number. They're required to have one by the IRS. And anybody who has internet access, we could all just go and look up a PTIN number provided by a tax professional to validate that they really are registered with the IRS. So that's one of the most important things. That's going to help you avoid what we mentioned a moment ago with those the ghost preparers. Weed them out. Also, look up the reviews, their ratings, their reputation on reputable sites like bbb.org. That'll help you weed out people just who don't have a reputation for being responsive or being good with their customers. You can also use our site to find trustworthy businesses. So that first research is really important. Second would just be get clear upfront pricing. Even if they do have transparent pricing models, a lot of people will complain and say that they didn't fully understand what they were getting into or what the cost was going to be until after the fact. So talking about that, getting everything in writing ahead of time is going to help. And then number three goes along with that as well, which is that communication we mentioned earlier, which is so vital. Make sure that they are a good communicator. And a lot of that information will come up when you do your research on these businesses. People will say that, they were easy to get a hold of after the fact, or that they were, great with picking up the phone or sending back emails. Prioritizing that communication is going to make tax season, what's left of it, a lot smoother.
Communication is definitely key. Cameron Nakashima with the BBB, thank you very much.